And so many may have missed the Messiah among them, as it is today. If we only expect the divine to come in a familiar package, think about what we might miss. For Jesus came, according to Matthew, not only through the typical Judaic male lineage, but also through several unlikely women. Through these women and the Hebrew scriptures in which they appear, we learn that presented into the unlikely bloodline of Jesus is prostitution through Rahab and Tamar, incest through the stories of Tamar and Judah, adultery, treachery, and murder with the story of David and Bathsheba, tainted and racially despised at the time Gentile blood through Ruth, and last but certainly not least with Mary, teenage pregnancy outside of wedlock. So all of these unlikely and culturally rebellious events had to transpire in order to give rise to the birth of the divine in the world. See, in Matthew, we're drawn to focus on the divine through the unexpected, the conflict, the fear, the risk, the ingenuity, all surrounding the birth of Jesus. Now, it's during Advent that Herod sends the kings to find the baby Jesus. It's during Advent that Mary and Joseph pack up on a donkey and ride all the way to Bethlehem for the census. Now, Mary cannot possibly expect to manage a ride all the way to Bethlehem in her last months of pregnancy. So she must manage moment by moment. She just got to get on the plane. She first climbs on, and then she's got to make it to the next stop, or over the next hill, or past the next person. This unlikely couple could not possibly have expected the doors of Bethlehem to fling open on their arrival just because Mary was with child, but they could expect that one would, or might. And so they kept knocking on doors, and knocking on doors, not giving up until the miracle happened. Therein is a lesson for all of us. Who gets to decide when it's over, when the story is through? Not us. Or when it begins. Really not us either. And so maybe something bigger and better awaits whatever current disappointment that you're currently in. Now, when a family is expecting a child, there is no way to rush this process. And what is expected is that waiting. Time to prepare, time to pay attention to the incremental changes that occur that will become a life, that will turn into a life of its very own. The waiting that is the Advent holiday is that kind of waiting. It's a preparation, a kind of paying attention, a kind of getting ready for the baby Jesus, who grew up to teach people about love and generosity and forgiveness and justice. It's a preparation for a story of hope in the midst of our darkest time on earth. It's time to make room in our hearts for a story that has touched generation upon generation, that tells us that even in our darkest hour, to love anyway, to risk anyway. Advent is about how the divine often comes into the world in ways that we could not possibly expect, when in fact we might need it the most. Now, this time last year, newly called to this congregation, I would not have expected to have grown so much in my ministry here, or to have had the amount of opportunity that I have had since I've arrived. I am a better minister because of this congregation, because of this staff, because of you. Because you have made room for me to change and grow in our time together, to experiment and to play, to make mistakes and to make amends. But since my arrival over 3 years ago, Jill and I have settled in ways that we never thought possible. We settled into what we call our retirement home on the river, which means we're never leaving. We both found careers that we both love. We're working with and for people that we truly enjoy. We have a network of friendships in our life like we have never had before. And so this Advent, during this time of expecting, I wanted to share something with you that a year ago we only dreamed of. You see, Jill and I are expecting. I'm pregnant. And we're due June 19th or Juneteenth, just to let you know. Now, I know that many of you don't know Jill, so Jill, why don't you raise your hand? Where are you? Some of you don't know Jill. There's Jill. But we both expect, without a doubt, that we will be better parents because we have this community, because of this congregation, because we have this congregation to raise our child in. In our expecting, we look around at these newly born in this congregation, Lila and Audrey and Roman and Janie, Jackson and Circe and Margot and Zane and so many others, and we think these are the children who will surround our child as he or she grows up. These will be the community into which they are born. This will be her playmates or the children that he looks up to. And we know we are blessed. So this Advent, what are you expecting? I ask that you keep your expectations high, that you hold on to outcomes loosely and make a whole lot of room for grace and expect nothing less than the divine. Amen.